I want to talk about my front fork on my adventure bike. I went to tighten up the knob on the left side. It's supposed to tighten up the suspension, and it did. And I'm thinking, I looked real closely. There's no, when you change that, you're not changing it in stereo. You're only changing the stiffness of the shock on the left-hand side. As well as the right side, when you lock out the shock to where the shock don't even give it all. That's only in effect on the right side. Now, down there at the axle, a bracket on top of the fender, and the bottom part of the bracket that comes out of the frame. Those three places is where the two shocks are connected physically in stereo. I don't know what kind of tweaking or willy wobble effect or unbalance effect it's going to have on me firming up my ride, but it's only being firmed up on the left side of the shock. It just don't seem like a good idea. Now, if you locked out that shock and you're a heavy man and you go out in the street hitting potholes at 20 miles an hour, I'm pretty sure that might break the little mechanism that locks out the front fork. But just think about that and know that in the future, because I never sat and thought about it until I went to firm up my front shock. Your lockout or your firming up of the shock, it's limited to that side. It's not in stereo. It's not on both parts of your fork. Very bizarre. Now let's talk about the bike. I've had it 7 months. This is the first fall. This is the first fall for me to own an e-bike and to be going through the withdrawal of, well, it's getting too cold to ride my e-bike. So I went out and bought some thermal clothes to put underneath my regular clothes. And I might be able to ride it for a little bit more, but when it gets down to 30, it's going to be put up. But the upside to that is, in the spring when it gets warm again, I'll be able to get my e-bike back out. But I've got 1,500 miles on it, and I calculated, short of me driving my Ford van, which is over there, I calculated I saved about $500 in gasoline. I've had a lot of fun with my bike, and I've added some really unique things to it. I'm getting ready to unplug my pedal sensor and see if I can get up to 32 miles an hour without pedaling at all. But I think the answer to that's going to be no, because if I don't pedal, that's the same thing as not having the sensor plugged in. If I don't pedal, I'm only getting to 20 miles an hour. So I might have to take that sensor off of the crank, the pedal arm, and put it somewhere. If I could mount it to the front wheel, that would be nice. All I want to do is do 32 on flat ground without pedaling at all. And I could even take the sensor, put it up on the handlebars, and somehow or some way incorporate a little 3-inch propeller and make the propeller turn the sensor so the bike thinks that I'm pedaling. I mean, you're only limited to your imagination of what you can do to an e-bike. If I wanted to, if I wanted to get real drastic, I could take the controller out and just buy a controller that lets you do 32 miles an hour without having to pedal. But that would be a little bit drastic, but it wouldn't be all that hard to change. That's going to be a wrap. Just thought I'd share that with people, because when you change those settings on your fork, it's only for that one side.